I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Welcome, everybody, to a very special episode of Oops, the Podcast. I'm Francis Ellis, joined as ever by my dear friend and co-host, Giulio. G, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
Well, I'm splendid. And the reason is that we are playing from our home court. We are back in the studio. Superior sound equipment, proximity of friendship, palpable. I can feel the warmth coming off of you.
Yeah, dude.
And maybe it's because you walked a few blocks today and it is 98 degrees in New York City with a real feel of 105.
Love it, dude.
Do you ever check the real feel?
No. Where can you do that? That's
on the regular app. You just scroll down.
Real feel?
Yeah.
Fucking real feel, dude. I'll tell you about real feel. I'm staying in an apartment with no AC right now, dude.
Oh my God.
Brutal.
What happened?
The AC is just all right. So let me backtrack a second. I think that an important thing to talk about is how difficult it is to relocate during this time.
Oh yeah.
It's just so complicated and fucking annoying. Mm-hmm. Like, theoretically, there's a million places I could go, but since I flew, everybody's weird about the fact that I flew, even though if you've flown during this, you would know that it's maybe the cleanest place you can be in public. Mm-hmm. Theoretically, I don't know, whatever. But middle seats are open. They're cleaning the shit out of everything. But anyway, so now I'm back, and normally I live with people, but I can't just go right back to them because I don't want to have that weird conversation about, oh, well, do I get tested? So I'm just going to get a test today.
You are?
I guess.
Have you found out where?
Urgent care?
I walked into an urgent care today to try to get a test because we are going to leave to go to Maine this evening. Go back. I'm tired of this place.
Yeah.
We're going to go back to Maine. My sister's 5 months pregnant.
Oh, wow.
My mom just had shoulder surgery. So I need to get tested before. Also, Maine has this thing of like, you arrive in the state, you got to quarantine for 14 days.
Right.
And we used to read that sign as we would come in and say kind of like, well, nobody's actually going to be able to figure this out. I think people are figuring it out. There's some tattletaling going on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Snitching.
I read a story about a guy who, some dude ran into a buddy of his from back home when he went back home, and he ran into him in a supermarket, and the guy had seen an Instagram post that had a geotag of fucking New York or wherever, and then he gave him shit for it. He was like, I saw that you were in New York yesterday based on your Instagram post. What are you doing here in the supermarket? Jesus,
dude. It's like living in Iraq under Saddam Hussein.
It's the Red Scare. It's communism.
Yeah.
It's McCarthyism.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Where have you been?
Right.
Who have you been in contact with? You've touched some bad people. So
that's nuts.
I went into urgent care this morning, and they said they didn't have any tests available until tomorrow.
Ugh.
And then it's 7 to 10 days before you get your testing results back.
Really? They don't have the rapid ones?
There may be some. We didn't seem to. They told me it was 7 to 10 days.
Great. This is just great. My plan was already not that strong of a plan. Fortunately, I don't have anything to do today because I don't if my last destination is an apartment with no air conditioning and it's 105 degrees.
Oh my God, dude.
Dude,
oh my God.
Fuck. But yeah, so my girlfriend's apartment, there's nobody there. So she's like, it would be helpful if you could be there when they fix the air conditioning. And this is a place for me to go because I can't go home. I want to go to see my parents, but I don't want, like you said, I don't want to go see my parents without a test, even though I'm probably fine. Famous last words. Mm-hmm. And then I could go stay with my friends on Long Island again, but same thing. I need to get a test, and let's just I don't know. Maybe I'm just going to stay here and crash diet for 10 days or something.
Oh, you're going to do what Federer does when he goes and trains in Dubai.
Is that what he does?
He does. He trains in Dubai where it's
I know about that,
desert heat, 110 degrees or whatever.
Yeah.
And he plays there for a while and trains and runs up sand dunes and stuff like that.
And his diet is crazy?
And then he comes into the major season or whatever, and he is in really good shape.
So that what you're describing is like a rite of passage as like a young, talented player. He'll bring you out there.
Yes.
And he'll play with you until you can't play anymore.
Oh my God.
And then he brings the next guy out and he'll go through like 3 guys.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Explain this to me. I played tennis yesterday with my friend Abba. Abba is
He's
very
very
good. Very
Yeah.
good. I only have one racket.
Mhm.
20 minutes in, I couldn't hold on to the racket anymore. It was too sweaty.
Need turner grip, dude.
There's a specific grip that,
I forget the slogan, but something the grip that doesn't slip.
okay, well, that makes sense. What's your technique? Would you wipe your hand on your shirt? I was trying to do that.
I don't really get sweaty palms.
Oh,
Like, but if it's really,
must
really
be nice.
but if it's, I'm serious, I don't.
What do you climb? I bet you could climb buildings. Like those Russian dudes.
Unfortunately, I don't have the
hang
upper
out
body
over
strength.
the aerial tower of some high building.
One finger.
Yeah.
Dude, no, but so I usually use the Wilson overgrips
Mhm.
because of the sweat doesn't like affect me as much in that way. But they say a wristband helps
Mm-hmm.
if you have a towel with you on the court. I don't know, in the corner.
I didn't have a towel. I didn't have any of the good stuff.
How did that go? Abba once talked shit to me about us playing each other.
He's very good.
I'm sure he is.
You would play well with him. I don't know
There's no way to know.
who would beat whom.
There's so many facts. So this is the thing. There's so many factors that come into play later in life when it comes to tennis. Like and he seems like he's in very good shape still. And Harvard, a better program than the program I played at. But Harvard also has a big team. I don't know where he was in the lineup, whatever. You
He's
probably
pretty good. He played first team doubles,
Mhm.
and then sometimes he would play like fourth singles, I think.
Okay, so he's good. He's good. But
He was a captain his senior year.
yeah, I mean, I was also captain.
Whoa. God damn. Yo,
I'm saying.
I would be very keen to see. I've hit with both of you, and I think that you're both the two best tennis players that I know in my world
Mhm.
by far. I've also I think when I play with him, he definitely turns it down a little,
Mhm.
and I know you do too. Like when you play with me, because there's such a difference between just rallying and hitting versus stringing together like strategies to win multiple games or serving and second serves and all that stuff. So,
Mhm.
I mean, how often do you play sets?
I mean, this year I probably played 5 or 6 of them,
Oh, that's fair. That's that's a good amount. Yeah.
and I haven't lost any.
Wow.
Not that matters.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't
It
been
matters.
playing. I haven't been playing anybody who I imagine is quite as good as your friend.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny that we're talking about this, and I only bring it up in this manner because when we hung out last time, he was a little tipsy
Yeah.
and he was talking shit.
Was
And
that at the stand? Were you at the
yeah,
concert?
it was pretty funny. It was
Yeah.
actually funny. I appreciate some good,
Yeah.
chum and whatever they call it.
Yeah, but it's weird if you don't know the person.
Exactly. It can be weird. Like he doesn't know. I might be fucking nasty. You know what I mean? And
Also, to just come at somebody and be a dick like that is very like, what are you doing? It's Saturday.
it was pretty
Fucking
funny.
Back off. It's like what we talked about when the Michael Jordan documentary came out. Like, competitive people are the worst.
Yeah. They can be bad.
It's just not that fun to be around.
It's true. But I think that there's, I don't really, it doesn't matter. But it's funny that we're talking about this because a friend of mine is convinced, so he's trying to put together $100,000 for this tennis money match that I'm going to be involved in.
Oh my God.
It would be me versus this guy. But so now this is the catch. So this guy played for Texas A&M. He won a national championship with them.
Wow.
He was an amazing player. But now he's 40. He apparently drinks 10 drinks a night.
Good for him.
Has lost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars playing poker in 2020. My friend is convinced he's a degenerate scumbag. And he's like, dude, you're going to kill him. He hasn't picked up a racket in years. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that level is such a high level that in theory, in my opinion, on paper, that guy's still the favorite. And I keep telling my friend this. He's like, no, dude, no. So apparently they're like a few $1,000s away from like maybe making this happen. We'll see.
And the winner is going to take all?
No, I think that like people are betting on the match.
Oh.
So I think I would get like either a fee or a percentage of the winnings or something. It doesn't seem like it's something that's worth training for unless I'm making a lot of money for
Right.
sure.
And would you play a best of 3 sets?
No, a pro set.
Best of 5?
No, to 8. You play to 8 games, 1 by 2.
That's it. Just one
That's
set.
what a pro set is called, yeah.
Oh.
So 1 set to 8 games.
And so in theory, if it were 8-8, you'd have to go 10-8.
Yeah,
would you go
maybe
into a
you play
tiebreak?
You might play a tiebreak at 9-all.
Wow.
I don't actually
Funky.
even know. Yeah.
Funky Dory.
So I don't know, dude. Well, like it's just funny that when it comes to tennis and you start getting older, like I have friends who are 5-6 years older than me who in our prime they would kick my ass, but now it's a little more even.
Mm-hmm.
because they're a little out of shape. But your friend is in better shape than I am, I think. And
Maybe.
Yeah, he is.
He smokes a lot of weed. I don't mean to throw him under the bus. But, in an amount that is sort of like, well, how are you still around? And because it's joints, you know what I mean? Like it's not vaporizers or edibles. It's like joint, keep it going, light another one, to the point where if I go over and hang out with him, I have to prepare myself mentally.
Because of how much he's going to make you smoke?
Yeah, I need to have my ducks in a row for when I get home, because I'm going to just fall on my face.
So
I have my snacks prepared. I can't leave things to chance. I need my snacks prepared. I need a wet, cold towel. I need like ice water ready to go.
your ducks in a row, literally.
Yeah.
Dude, that's funny. I wonder that about you, because I know you smoke a fair amount.
Yeah, but I smoke light. Like, I do the vaporizers and for me it's a nightly occurrence, but it's a glass of wine every night.
Right. Well,
a glass and a half of wine. No, I know.
I'm not calling you an abuser.
No. But my point being, when I run into these real like grifters of weed, and I don't even know if that's the right word, but these like movers and shakers, I'm in over my head. Definitely.
So what happens when you smoke too much? Like, besides you becoming corpse-like?
Fortunately, now I've smoked enough as a baseline. It's like a base tan, where I'm not going to get burned too much. But I'm definitely not contributing much to the evening.
Right.
Especially if I'm around multiple people who can handle that much weed, like the Ricky Velez's of the world.
Right.
Where they just continue to fall deeper into their normal state.
Right. How crazy is that?
Yeah. And there's a line, by the way, in The King of Staten Island, where Pete, I think, said, like, or maybe it was Ricky, said, like, do you even feel high anymore? I feel like this just makes us who we are now.
That's really funny.
And it is, but I've met a lot of people like that, and I never want to get there.
Yeah, no, same.
I never want to get there. I want it to be something that makes me feel funny and different and is still a special occasion, even if I do it on it's an indulgence. It shouldn't be a palliative, like something that just restores you to where you prefer to be.
Right. Dude,
Totally.
Totally. I for me still, it's just a complete crapshoot as to how I'm gonna feel.
Mm-hmm.
Some nights I feel great, and I'm like, oh wow. And like last night, for example, I smoked. I had a terrible night last night.
Oh no.
I was all alone. I started thinking about all this crazy shit. Started thinking about mortality, and like, dude, it's bad. It's like not fun.
No.
Dude, also I went to dinner with a friend, and have you ever done this? Have you ever met up with a friend in the middle of the day, and your friend's hammered, but you don't notice at first, and you have to piece together their odd behavior? Like, I sit down at dinner with my friend. He's like not really listening to me that well. I'm like, oh fuck, am I like carrying on about myself? Oh my God, dude. Then he starts smoking weed at the dinner table.
Oh my God.
Granted, it's outdoor dining, but like we're still under the literal and figurative umbrella of the restaurant.
Nice.
And he starts smoking, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, you know what? You know what Fort Lauderdale taught me, dude? That no one gives a fuck. I was like,
Fort Lauderdale.
What? We're not in Fort Lauderdale.
He's talking about it like it's the Dagobah system.
Yeah,
what I learned in Fort Lauderdale.
Dude, literally, it's so stupid. I was like, dude, that is not relevant at all. And I was like, he's like, the cops aren't going to get us. I'm like, dude, it's not about the cops. It's about the people who own the restaurant coming up to you being like, you can't do that here.
Right.
And then they look at me, and I have to look them in the eye knowing that I chose to sit down to dinner with you. I think he understood that.
It's funny you say this, because marijuana has been so destigmatized and so relaxed that, especially as open carry containers, like going around New York and just being able to drink with a cup.
Right.
I think a lot of people just extended that to meaning like, I can smoke a joint in the street. I've been seeing people smoking joints in the streets for a while now.
Same, yeah.
But it's definitely turned up even more in this COVID time.
Right.
And there's nothing funnier than watching a guy lift up his mask to hit a joint and then put the mask back down and watch him blow smoke all over his face.
Dude, that's a whole new way to clam bake.
Let me ask you this. I need an answer to this.
Okay.
The biggest problem that I've found with masks is the mask sunglasses combination.
Absolutely.
First breath, you are fogging that shit up like the steamy car scene in Titanic. It is instant loss of visibility, a deep pea soup fog worldview.
Yeah, you're right.
What's the solution to that?
Dude, I don't know that there is one, unfortunately. Like you can't do the mask and the glasses at the same time. Chris appears to have some solution.
There's this stuff that they're creating now that you spray on your glasses so that they don't fog up. Actually.
Interesting.
I call bullshit on that.
No, it
We'll
works.
see. It works?
Yeah.
Yeah, and 10 years from now, children are going to be born with third penises as a result of the defogging. Whatever happened to the old snorkel technique where you just spit in the lens before you dive in to see some coral?
Dude, that's really funny. Wait, do you have a solution to that?
No, I don't, but I really find it to be problematic
It's so fucking annoying.
in the summer because I have, I like to wear sunglasses when I go out, but if I'm wearing a mask, I mean, those two things are just they don't work together,
Right.
you know?
Dude, 100%. Dude, I was just in Chicago for a couple weeks staying with my girlfriend's parents. It was a really lovely time, had a good time. But it was funny. Her dad, there's some glitch in the Amazon system, we think, or somebody's just like playing a prank on her father, but he keeps getting shit from Amazon. And it's like random shit, like a snorkel. Like a really nice snorkel.
Ooh.
I know. And
I
then
could use
like
that.
he got webcams, he got a curling iron, fucking aftershave. Like he just keeps getting every couple days. He'll
What
get
if
a
it was
package.
just like the world's most random sugar daddy?
You're right.
Like accidentally thought this was his seeking arrangements connection, and the person just is preparing for the strangest trip ever. I don't know.
Dude, I know. It's like really fucking weird. But dude, something really funny. My girlfriend played a really crazy move on me while we were out there.
Okay.
And tell me if you've ever heard of something like this. We were in a fight.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like a huge fight, but we were in a fight. We were pissed at each other. And it hadn't been resolved. And I had sat down for dinner with the family, and she had not yet. And we started eating dinner or whatever. She walks out to the dinner table and sits down and looks at her family and goes, "We're in a fight." And I don't know her parents that well. So like to the point where her parents tell me to call them their first names, but I don't because I'm not comfortable enough.
Oh,
That's the level of relationship we're at still.
wow.
So she comes out and she goes, "We're in a fight." And then everyone's kind of like, "So what happened?"
Oh boy.
And then I have to now explain. So she then explains her side of the story. And then I start explaining my side of the story. And then I just start dying of laughter because like, I don't know if it was hilarious or if it was like so uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But the outcome was that the fight ended.
Of course. Yep. Dude, laughter is always the best way to get out of a fight.
No, totally. But also because she brought it up like that. And
Yeah, aired it
inevitably-
out. It's so much more comfortable than going through the whole dinner and pretending like things aren't tense.
Right. And just being like,
But also just appointing her own family as the arbiters of the disagreement is such a power move.
I know.
There's no chance that you can win at that argument at that point.
Dude, it was unbelievable.
Let me ask you this. Do you take your hat off at the table?
That's a good question. I try to make sure that I follow the tone of whatever's happening. So I look to see if anybody else is wearing a hat at the table. So her
She have
mom,
a brother?
She doesn't.
Okay.
But her mom would wear a hat at dinner.
What kind of a hat?
Just like kind of like a dry fit, sort of like like exercise hat.
Training for a half marathon.
Right. Just
Yeah.
kind of like she kind of has her athleisure game.
Sure.
But yes, exactly.
Sure.
The half
Yeah, yeah,
marathon
yeah.
hat.
Yeah.
So since she was and we ate outside for almost every
Okay.
meal
Yep.
together.
That
So
tones it down a little.
since
Yeah.
she wore a hat, I then wore a hat.
Nice. Interesting. Okay. No, that's fine. I agree. I think hats at the table are well, I was raised to think that one should never wear a hat at the table. But I was also not a big hat guy, so it didn't come up that much. That said, sitting outside having fish tacos versus sitting inside having a full baked sea bass, that needs to be deboned with a spoon is that's non-hat, and the outdoors could definitely be a hat situation.
No, totally.
How are your table manners? How much does that factor How are your, what is your fork and knife etiquette? Do you put your napkin in your lap to start things off?
That's a very good
Where
question.
do you stand on grace? Let's get into this.
Okay, this is good. So, dude, first of all, I think a really funny thing that you can do at dinner with friends is say grace to yourself.
Wait till someone starts taking bites and then do it. Because then they'll be like,
that's really funny. Yeah.
they'll stop chewing.
It's like, oh my
They'll
God.
hold it in their mouth like cud.
That's really funny when someone jumps the gun with eating
Yeah.
and they just go,
Yeah.
cheers.
Like they're worried, someone's going to ask them for a piece of the gum and they just took the last stick.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Dude,
Yeah.
so if you do this, so this is the way to do this, in my opinion, that makes it funny. You say it in a way that you can't really hear what the prayer is.
Yes.
But you sit there and you go, and you go, okay. Dude, it's great.
Okay, who's ready? Oh, you guys have. Oh, you've already. Okay, well, that's so funny, dude.
Dude,
And you
pull it
could
out.
do so many different things. You could do like a little Arabic prayer
Yeah,
and
dude.
totally throw people off.
You can do whatever.
could just totally mix up the theism of your grace.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely.
That's great,
All
dude.
right, so but table manners.
Yeah.
I never prayed for meals, but I had like
Let's move away from the prayer thing because I think there's two different
fine,
things
fine,
going on
fine.
here.
Totally. This prayer is separate from table manners, obviously.
Yeah.
So I grew up sort of around people who were sort of strict about table manners.
Mhm.
Like the hat at the table was sort of not acceptable. I don't think my parents cared, but like my uncles cared, my cousins cared.
Sure.
Another thing that I feel like has died out a little bit, and tell me what you think about this. Elbows on the table were enforced when I was a kid, and I feel like they're no longer enforced.
So agreed. Now there are so many different sort of like tiers of elbows on the table, degrees, right? If you're just going double pointers, people's elbow, the rock, remove the sweatband, hit both turnbuckles, and then come back to the middle, that's ridiculous, right? But there's sort of what I would call like a demi elbow.
It's like the forearm.
Let's call it a forearm resting on the edge.
demi elbow.
Or if you could go elbows on the table if your arms were kind of flat. I also think it depends on the size of the table. There's so many different layers to the elbows on the table. But yes, in general, you don't want to be like double pointing, looking like, a tripod missing a leg on the table, right?
Totally.
So, but I agree. I think people don't really care about it anymore. So elbows on the table is the big one.
The napkin, I agree. I am guilty of sometimes forgetting about that. But if other people are doing it, I'll like quickly notice. But when it comes to a paper napkin, it's a different ball game.
Are you leaving the napkin on the table even after you've used it to wipe the corners of your mouth?
Whoa. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Dirty napkin on the table is totally
Unacceptable.
disgusting. That is vile.
I don't know. I can't say for sure how good I am about that. It's unclear. But I'm not terrible about it.
Good. Okay. So the big difference between high class and awareness with the napkin and not comes down to simply, do you put your napkin in your lap when you sit down at the table, or do you put it in your lap once the first plate of food arrives? Because a lot of people remember, oh shoot, now I'm going to put my napkin in my lap because they've picked the utensils off the napkin,
Right.
freeing it to go into one's lap. And they see it there and they're like, oh, now, okay, well, we're going to start eating. Now we begin. But my girlfriend and a lot of people will take the second they sit down, napkin in the lap.
Right.
And I don't know how I feel about that. To me, that's like putting your seatbelt on before the car has started to move.
Right. It's impractical.
Because I might get up again. I might readjust.
You might.
I might need a bathroom break. I might go wash my hands. So those things, I don't know. There's a little bit of wiggle room there, I would say.
Do you use your left hand to eat with your fork?
Great. This is great. Great question. So I am fork in the right hand, knife in the left, and I hold them correctly. I don't hold them in a closed fist as though I'm halfway between Des Moines and, Little Rock on a 26-hour meth-fueled truck blazing, whatever. Just go get there as quick as possible. One bowl of porridge at Auntie Nikki's diner, right? That's not what I'm doing. By the way, I have no idea how far apart Des Moines and Little Rock are. Probably not 26 hours. But I go, I hold them correctly. Now, I was taught that in Europe, everything was always bounced off Europe as the golden land of table etiquette.
I was also taught this.
Yeah.
I know what you're going to say.
And my mom told me that in Europe, you would cut the food with your fork in your left hand and your knife in your right, and then they would switch hands to eat the bite. And that seemed so unnecessary to me. I just couldn't adjust to that. And so I've always been fork in the right hand, knife in the left, but I will always use the knife to push food onto the fork to portion my bites. And if I see somebody using, instead of their knife, their finger as like a backstop, I know that person can't read very well. That reading is not a priority, because then their finger is dirty with sauce. That to me is cretinous behavior. Yeah. That is amoeba. You are a single cell organism. I'm sorry.
That's really
And unless
funny.
you tell me that you suffered some sort of brain trauma that resulted in you whatever, I'm not okay with that.
I feel like, dude, that's really funny. I think that I'm a step behind you with table manners. I think though that I have some baseline of knowledge.
I don't know that I would necessarily say that you're a step behind me. I think we have the same baseline. It's just a question of how much do we adhere to it. I don't think about it anymore, right? So it's like I stopped being given pointers when I was probably like 10 or 12.
Right.
But chewing with your mouth closed, by the way, right? So that like we're polished. I feel like we get it. Then there were kids I knew, not many. There was this girl I knew whose grandmother was really old-fashioned and forced her to go to etiquette school.
Oh, wow.
And that's where you learn things the unwritten rules of baseball, right? That's where you're starting to get stuff like
never fuck a guy on the first night.
Yeah, right. Or like if you always pass your food to the left. Some crazy stuff that you've never even heard of, or addressing someone, knowing which questions to ask. The sort of guidelines that you might read in like Ralph Lauren's book of table etiquette when you go into that store and you're like, nobody's ever going to buy this book, but it's fun to read through.
Yeah, totally. And for the record, I don't actually believe that. It's okay to fuck on the first night.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's crazy. So are there any other examples of things that like you would never think of that are in this etiquette school that she had mentioned?
Well, I always try to make a point of being the person who clears the table.
Oh, that's
like
good.
Once I see that everyone's finished, I like to be, especially if I'm a guest.
It's a good proactive
I
move.
want to stand up and try to clear the table. And then I'm a big dishes guy. I really do the dishes, and it's not some display of doing the dishes.
You
It's
get in there.
doing the fucking dishes, which means finding the Windex, not the Windex. Just betrayed myself. Whatever.
Poisoning the entire family.
The spray and spraying down the counters. You
Right.
gotta clean the counters. You clean the burners even if you want to go the whole 9 yards.
Dude, you're so fucking domesticated, and I mean that in the best possible way. Like you are so good at keeping a clean house. Francis's apartment is always fucking. You could eat off the floor.
Well,
You know what I mean?
you get to a point, you get to an age where you have nice things. And what's the point of having nice things if they don't look nice?
Totally.
If they're not
or feel
nice.
nice, more
Yeah.
importantly.
Do you make your bed every day?
Usually, yeah.
Good. It's, people say like, what's the point? I'm just going to mess it up again. Pulling that bedspread down, throwing those throw pillows. There's a reason they call them throw pillows. You got to throw them.
Dude. Hey, there's a reason you gotta throw them through.
You know?
Dude, that was unbelievably funny.
They're not just
gotta throw 'em.
nudge pillows. They're
gotta
not
throw 'em.
just like kick off pillows. You got to throw those pillows.
Dude, that feels like I am at finishing school right now and you're my teacher. And you're the cool teacher, third period, bed etiquette with Francis. And you're like, that's why you call them throw pillows. You gotta throw them.
Give those pillows a
You'll get it.
toss. Toss
That's-
them.
That's
Throw them
fucking
as
great.
hard as you want. They're pillows. So yeah, you get into the bed. You got the crisp sheets. I change the bed sheets once a week.
Yeah.
You know, I really care about that stuff. And then towels. You know, wash towels every 4 or 5 days. That might be too much. I might be a little too anal about the towels.
Dude, good for you, man. This is you set it a good example for me of what I want to be like.
Yeah.
Serious.
By the way, I don't
Close.
think that my way is correct. It's just the way I'm comfortable living.
Well,
Do you know what I mean? Like, if people don't live this way, I'm not trying to shame, unless you use your finger as a backstop for your food. That's disgusting.
So, dude, my dad. I wouldn't say my dad has. My dad has good manners.
Mhm.
He's a little messy. For example, like I remember one time he had to give a talk at this thing, like this program he had done. There was all these kind of like fancy people there, and there were hors d'oeuvres, and he sort of just like took one hors d'oeuvre and immediately got it all over his shirt. Like, that's kind of like what ends up happening to him. Like it's actually a really sweet quality about him that he's kind of like clumsy. when it comes to-
Yeah.
But dude, like sometimes I'm worried to bring him to like meet people in a food setting, like especially if it's like a girlfriend's parents or a girlfriend or whatever. I get nervous just because of how much of a wild card he can be. Like for example, like there'll be times where we're out at dinner in a restaurant and I'm eating whatever, and I look to my left and in horror I just see my dad has turned his napkin into a bib in a restaurant.
I don't mind that, though.
You don't mind the bib?
I don't mind that. I find that endearing.
Yeah,
And
no,
it also is an attention to one's own fallibility. He is preparing himself for a mudslide. He is building a tarp to avoid ruining his shirt.
right.
And if he knows he's prone to that, he's prepping. I think measures like that make way for lessening damage are totally fine.
Okay.
Totally fine.
He'll be happy to hear you say that. He's a great guy. Actually, I'm not trying to rag on my old man, but
Now,
but
for
he
the
can
record,
get a little sloppy.
the only time that I would ever put a bib in would be at a clam bake.
Oh, right.
Clam bake, lobster, outdoor,
But that's when everyone is literally handed
ribs maybe. Yes.
bibs.
Yeah,
they're
you're
not.
handed
They're not
bibs.
multi-purpose napkins. They are bibs.
Yeah, you got to punch the hole out like it's a toilet seat cover.
They even give you a poncho sometimes of those, dude.
Oh, those are the good days. Those
It's
are the
really
good
funny.
ones.
Dude, so I played 18 holes
Oh
a
my
couple
God.
days ago
That's so much golf.
in 96 degrees in Chicago, right?
Jesus.
At girlfriend's dad's country club
Wow.
with two guys who I didn't know. One of them he didn't even really know that well.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really stressful.
Mm-hmm. Were
Especially
you in
because
carts or were you walking?
we were walking, but we had a caddy who had the cart.
This is a fancy place.
I know.
That's a 4 caddy.
It was
so,
fancy. Yeah, please explain, because I was a little out of my element with that.
Yeah, that has become more popular of a situation in COVID, right?
Okay.
So it used to be that if you went out with a foursome in golf at a place that required you to take caddies, because there are a lot of golf courses that require you to take caddies, and that's just a very fancy thing. They're now putting the caddies in a cart because they realize that there are a lot of golfers who are not comfortable accepting a 9-iron from the hand of another person.
Right.
One,
Right.
it requires you to be closer together. And two, the handoff. Like, we're trying to minimize handoffs.
Right.
So what happens is the guy in the golf cart will come over to where your ball is. You're walking up the fairway, comes to your ball. He takes his telescope thing out, rangefinder,
Yeah.
figures out the distance.
Yeah,
says
about
130
181 to the
yards.
green, yeah.
smooth pitching wedge, soft 9-iron, whatever. And then you will grab the club out of the bag on the back of the cart.
Gotcha.
Although, again,
Which, yeah, that's what was happening.
a lot of caddies will kind of like shirk this thing and hand you the club themselves. But the point is to minimize the amount of
Exposure.
actual physical contact and handoffs and stuff.
Gotcha.
So keep going.
Oh, so anyway, we went to the range before, which was very useful for me because I played 9 holes twice this year,
Mhm.
which is the most I've played in a 6-month period in 15 years, maybe.
Wow.
So that's good. I had that. But, it's one of those things where every single shot, I don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
Sometimes I'll hit it perfectly. And, I got a couple pars like here and there. Like I played okay. But then I would triple bogey the next hole, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. But it was very fucking stressful when you're with a foursome. All these guys are good. These guys are all shooting. They all shot like around 80.
Okay, yeah.
Pretty solid.
Yeah.
And it was really fucking stressful. And even on the first tee, and this, I don't know if he was fucking with me, but her dad was like, is there anything more stressful than playing a round of golf with your girlfriend's father? I was like, that's fucking good. Well played.
That's good. At least he's aware.
I know. They were really nice, man.
Let me ask you this. Was anyone drinking?
No. But one thing that I thought was cool was, this is probably something that's common also, but like, for example, after the 9th hole, when everybody's eating hot dogs or whatever, they roll dice for who pays.
Yep. A lot of places will have that in the cup. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just because everybody fills it out on the
right
ticket,
on their little chit. Dude, if people on the hand you on the first tee a drink,
yes,
it changes the entire day. It just means it goes from being a stressful, I'm worried about how formal this setting is, to we're out to have a fun round of golf today.
Interesting.
And I promise you, it will dispel all your tension and not all of it, but like you'll be much less aware of the formality of the golf. And so and a lot of people do that in golf. Golf is a game that goes hand in hand with drinking for some reason.
Yeah, and smoking weed now.
Really?
Do you ever do that? I don't. But
I cannot play golf and smoke weed.
I know people, and I don't either. But like, I know people who smoke pot the whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. Another example.
Right. Okay. So there's so much to unpack here. I think the one thing I would say is that in general, I don't mind playing with a golfer who's not that good at all, as long as they don't finish every hole. Like if you lose your drive and then lose another ball and then we're all going up to the green and you just say, you know what, guys, I'm out of the hole, or like you pick up your ball, totally fine.
Yeah.
It's all about keeping up.
Keeping up the pace.
Do not make us wait while we know you're about to duff another one into a water hazard.
No, totally.
And then be like, okay, so now what am I at? 7? Drop a ball here. What's the rule? Like, don't, that's all that matters.
So I didn't, and like I hit a couple of drives that weren't pretty, but they were like effective. One of those that rolls fucking 100 yards. Fairways were like fucking greens. It was like really well maintained for my standards at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was pretty good about that. Like I didn't really lose. I didn't hit anything in the water, and there were a couple like island holes too.
Oh wow!
Where I just fucking stuck it on the green. And I was like, good for you, kid. But on 18, there was a water hazard. I hit my first shot, and there was a water hazard that was like not in the way at all. And Stan, who was one of the guys playing with us, of course, he goes, "There's a water hazard over there, just so you know." He goes, "You probably wouldn't have noticed." He goes, "But hope I didn't just jinx you." 15 seconds later, directly into the fucking water. I was like, God damn it. But dude, yeah, I wasn't taking 2 drives. You know what I mean? Like, if I hit a shitty one and I couldn't find it, I'd drop.
That's fine.
Like,
that's
whatever.
fine.
You know what I mean? Who gives a shit?
Yeah, totally. Okay. I think that's great.
Well, dude, so hold on. Sorry.
No.
Okay. So one thing that I find amazing. So we were paired together with a group.
Yeah.
So one of these guys was my girlfriend's father's very good friend, old friend. He was a great guy. The other guy was a very nice guy too. But he didn't know him as well. And the prospect of that to me is spending 5 hours with somebody who I don't know at all. That's unbelievably stressful. The idea of that. And it ended up being fine, but it was incredible the way that these guys had a set of skills that made them equipped for 5 hours with a person they didn't know. Yeah. They paced themselves with the questions. They had good loaded responses that were kind of like within this basket of responses that they had. Right. And it was just so much experience, and I was so impressed that I was like, I need to get on their level.
Interesting. Yeah, the decorum and the acceptable topics of conversation when you're playing golf with people you don't know. It's very narrow. Just
because you want to have a nice experience.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like, because some of our comic friends might be like, oh, fuck that, I'm going to be myself.
Yeah.
Comics can be like that would make for such a miserable afternoon.
Yes and no. Because here's what I would say. I've played so many rounds of golf. I've done the getting paired up with random people to complete the foursome. It's crowded that day, whatever. And I can tell you that if I hear one more dad joke or one more
Dude,
fucking like, oh, I can't get, let's play another round so I don't have to go home to my wife and kids. Shut the fuck up. Try to come up with something new, right? So that I can't stand. And yet that's the safe realm that we're talking about, right?
Dude, I heard this one. This is like a back nine joke.
Mhm.
Was you want to know why they called it golf? Because fucking shit we're taking.
Oh God.
I was like, oh, good one.
Yeah. Or referring to a beer as swing juice. Swing juice.
I've never heard that. That's
Let's
great.
I need another, talking about needing a drink to play
Swing
better, and then they like get a drink and then they hit their first shot after the drink well and they're like, see, I'm a totally different player.
That's fucking
And then they
great,
proceed to
dude.
suck for the rest of the day. I hate that. I hate all of that. I hate the culture of golf. I really do. But to say, what I was going to say is, as a comedian who is a good golfer, I'm a 4
Very
handicap.
good. Yeah.
When I play with groups of people who are so accustomed to that very narrow realm of golf conversation, and I can start to insert slightly different jokes,
That's funny.
or just be like, hey, how do we feel about me going here, right? Like, shake things up. I've watched as the golfers that I was playing with started to perk up,
Oh, that's
as if to
fucking
say
funny.
like, whoa,
Oh, okay.
I haven't heard that before on the golf course. Who's this mystery man? Who's this clever wit? And you start building and like, to the point where I've had people like start to care more about, not care more about, but be focused on what I was going to say. And it seems like it made the round better because I was actually saying genuinely funny shit that wasn't just your typical
Right.
straight from the dad golf handbook of jokes. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's fucking
And
funny.
that's fun. That's fun. And then you're like adding value.
Totally. It would be funny. Like, do you ever, and I don't know if this is like something that you wouldn't be able to get away with, but you might on many levels. But like, do you ever push the envelope just to see how they're gonna react?
Absolutely.
Be like, oh man, I really banged out my girlfriend last night.
No, dude, one time, like, you get these guys who will who chunk a shot and they'll just be like, what is with me today? And you're like, dude, it's every day. Whereas I'll hit a bad shot and then I'll say, I want to break my 9-iron shaft over my knee and stab my own jugular with the pointy edge. Don't resuscitate me. And you see how people react to that graphic
That's fucking
of a
great.
reaction, and they're like, holy shit, this guy's never joining here, or they're like, this is fun.
This
like,
guy's
this
great.
is who knows,
At the end, they thank you. They're like, thanks for helping me feel young again, man.
yeah.
Awesome.
So, hey, anyway, let's wrap it there. That was a fun episode of Oops the Podcast. We're back in studio all this week, so stay with us. And if you've got some stories about playing golf with your girlfriend's father, send those into oopsthepodcast@gmail.com. For now, I'm Francis Els, and he's Giulio Gallerati. We'll see you soon.
We will indeed.